in Caps series of playoffs past before they won the Stanley Cup, there's always kind of that dread underlying in the fan base, waiting for something bad to happen instead of hoping something actually good would happen because of all the playoff failures of the past. Do you think it's going to be a little more relaxed crowd, at least for the first few games at Capital One as they take on Carolina?
Yeah, in theory. I mean, I think the early parts of series in D.C. have never been the issue. It's that creeping dread that we get when things start going awry, when a Carolina Hurricanes type team hangs around for a little bit too long, deeper in a series. So I think the crowd will be hyped for it. But the psychology of the whole thing is for me much more interesting when it comes to the team itself. I mean, this is something we've never seen before, where we've gotten, we're unburdened, we're champions. We are no longer going to have the psychological damage that it's all going to go wrong. This is the first Capitals team that I can remember that can walk into a series with the Pittsburgh Penguins and feel like they're going to win and not worry about, some hex or something. So, that's the real X factor in the Caps in this postseason. And the one thing that I think a lot of the pundits have struggled with is now that they don't have that roadblock in front of them anymore, sky's the limit, right? If they're able to play as well as they played last season.
All right, Greg. So if Todd Reardon said, "Hey, Greg, I want you to go scout Carolina for me," all right, and come back and give me a game plan on how to beat them, what would you tell him? What's the scout on Carolina?
The scout on Carolina is make the most of your opportunities. The Hurricanes are the best puck possession team in the league. They really are able to control play. They get a ton of shot attempts on goal. The issue is that they simply don't have the finishers to really, put an exclamation point on that play. And that's the disparity here. You look at the Capitals roster and you know what those guys are all capable of as far as goal scoring goes. The Hurricanes just don't have that collection of offensive weaponry, even though that they play a really good offensive game. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing is to just try to put this team away early. I mean, the Hurricanes are a pesky group, a resilient group, and one of those teams that has really perfected that us against the world kind of mentality. And so don't let them fester. Don't go back to Raleigh, 1-1. Just put this team away early. Establish dominance and get yourself a series early in the playoffs before you have to start playing some tougher teams.
Joined by Greg Wyshynski, senior NHL writer for ESPN on the Mattress Warehouse Hotline. I'm a little bit concerned on the heater that Peter Mrazek has been on since the trade deadline. He's gone 9-2 in that span. He's got a save percentage over 94%. I'm just hoping that version of him gets rattled a little bit early in this series. Do you see him keeping up that level of play against the Caps?
Not necessarily, because I think he's always been a real streaky goaltender, it doesn't exactly have the playoff bona fides yet to really show that he can carry over that success to the playoffs. But there is something to be said for hot goalies kind of continuing their work into the postseason. We saw it last night with Ben Bishop. We saw it last night with Jordan Binnington from the St. Louis Blues. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that there's going to be, good play for that guy. But when you've got Braden Holtby on the other end of the ice and you have his numbers in April staring at you in the face, I mean, it's at the very least you're hoping that if Mrazek does stay hot, that he's going to be played to a push because Holtby is going to be that good.
One of our listeners called in earlier in the show today and asked who's the X Factor Capital going to be in this series. Is it a guy like Brett Conley? Is it Jacob Vrana, who had an offensive just outbreak type of season?
Oh, yeah, he was great.
Young, he's doing good things here for the Caps. Who would be that guy for you, an X Factor type for the Caps?
Well, I mean, my man Lars Eller has pretty much become Mr. X Factor, right?
Yeah.
He's last postseason was insane, and for all the talk about how the Capitals were able to win the Cup because for the first time, Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Karlsson, and Holtby all had their best postseasons at the same time. They probably don't win if it's not for what Eller does, throughout the entirety of the postseason. So the Caps did really smart work, I think, in building those lower lines over the last couple of years. The addition of Hagelin is looking really smart too. So, the Hurricanes do have some guys that can D you up. I think Sebastian Aho, who's their best offensive player, may also be one of their best defensive players. And their blue line, is also pretty stacked too. This guy Jacob Slavin's one of the best defensive defensemen in hockey. So you're looking for your depth to really shine, and I think the Capitals have some quality depth.
Interesting that Trotzy knocked off Pittsburgh last night in Game 1, right? I mean,
yeah,
I didn't expect that either.
I think I did. I thought. So I'm doing a show called The Daily Wager on ESPN, where I am now Puck Daddy, hockey wagering pundit. Okay. I thought one of the most predictable things last night was getting the over in the first period because they were going to be insane. And it was. And the atmosphere in that place, every time the Islanders did anything, they were blowing the asbestos-covered roof off that place. So, like, you just had a feeling that and I had been there for those games against the John Tavares and then Toronto when they came back. So the atmosphere in that place is incredible. It's a really distinct home ice advantage right now for the Islanders. I still think the Penguins find a way to win that series. But they certainly can't be giving up 4 goals a game to the Islanders with the quality goaltending and defense that Trotz has instilled in that franchise. But man, whatever comes out of that series is going to make for a hell of a series for the Capitals if they get past the Hurricanes. Man, you either get the Penguins again or you get Barry Trotz against Washington.
Yeah, high drama.
That's juicy narratives right there, man. Yeah.